What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to the channel. A couple videos ago we were talking about this car here, how it was running good and now it has like a high idle and a couple other things like a coolant leak. The MAF sensor that's on this car is the one that was on it when I bought it. It is not an OEM MAF. So we're gonna go pick up an OEM MAF today. We're gonna hop in this car here. We're gonna drive up to AutoZone. Not the biggest fan of AutoZone, but they always seem to be the place that has something in stock. So we're gonna hop up there real quick, go pick up the MAF sensor, and then we're gonna go pretty much troubleshoot this whole car, find the coolant leak, find the vacuum leaks, double check the wastegate. I think what the problem with this wastegate is, I'm not using a OEM, tile clamp to attach it to the up pipe. I'm using a Mishimoto one, like a V-band style. So I think I'm gonna adjust what clamp is on there and make sure that it's seated properly and see if that resolves our issue. And then pretty much just troubleshoot vacuum leaks after vacuum leaks. In my last video, you saw that we deleted the evap system, and that is very prone for vacuum leaks as well. So we're gonna check that out now that it's deleted to see if it runs any better without the evap or not. Never fails, guys. You hop in your wife's car and we had to stop and get gas on the way. Thank God, I love her. So to my understanding, when using like the hybrid speed density setup, it only uses speed density when you're in boost, and then it is tuned to use your MAF and all that like at idle, and like a combination of both. So it pretty much goes like dedicated speed density when you're really driving it hard, and then it's speed density and MAF when you are just kind of cruising around just to get better readings. Like I said, the MAF sensor that's in the car is not an OEM one. It's one of the remanufactured MAFs, so that could be a potential issue. I've heard a lot of people talking about how if you don't have an OEM MAF on there, it kind of just makes your readings all whack. So it's worth a shot. I mean, it's not a cheap part, but it needs to get done. Dude, this place, the people are nice. The people here are nice. I was on AutoZone's website looking at it. It says it was $154 to get it, and they had it in stock. And if you go to the store, it's $50 more expensive to buy it at the store than it is to order it online. I asked why that is. They said they give you a discount for using the website. So looks like we're not gonna get a mass airflow sensor today. So we need to head back to the house and try and chase down a vacuum leak and hope that our mass airflow is not the problem. I don't think it is, but it's just gonna be some nice insurance to have a brand new one, a brand new OEM one. So let's go fill up this thing and then we'll head back to the house. So like I said before we left the house, there's a guy in the comments, and he said to make sure that my wastegate is fully seated, and I think he's right. I think I messed something up and I took a shortcut, so let's get it off and see if we can get it actually fixed. Alright, there's our wastegate. It's going to be hard to see with the angle, but you see right in between the clamp, the V-band clamp, there's a little gap. That little gap right there is the reason that we're having that whistle. So that clamp is not holding it fully onto the up pipe. So let's get that wastegate pulled off and put the actual clamp on that needs to be there. There's the clamps. This is the one that was on it previously, and it just wasn't giving it enough bite. The wastegate was still loose, so
in this V-band, these guys are just a little too big to clamp down. I have this one, but this one is just a little too loose, so I'll need to do what I did on the dump pipe, and it's shave down the interior parts right here so that I can have enough clamping force, because when it's fully closed like this, the wastegate still wiggles a little bit, so we need to get these guys shaved down right here. Well, that's what I came up with. It used to touch when you close it all the way. Now it doesn't, so that'll give us a lot more clamping force to be able to get that wastegate seated correctly, and then also make sure we get it tight enough. So I'm gonna go under, slap this on the car, and make sure that this wastegate's aligned, and I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. Alright, there we have our wastegate fully back in. You can see the new clamp down there. This one right here, we got to grind it down so now everything is fully tight. The wastegate is properly seated now, and I got the dump tube fully tightened back up, so everything should be good exhaust leak wise on the wastegate. I did double check the plumbing on the wastegate. Everything is plumbed perfectly, so now we just need to hunt down a couple leaks. I think the main leak right there on the heater core line, I think that clamp just needs to get tightened down, or need a new one, because I think that's the original one. So I'll throw a new clamp on that and make sure that that's no longer leaking. And then we do have a coolant leak somewhere down here. I think it's probably either the throttle body coolant or way down deep in there. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little nipple on the water crossover tube, and I think it might be coming out of there. So just those two leaks, and this thing is good to go, and then we can fire it back up, because we should not have any more vacuum leaks. I did delete the evap system from right there, and I think that was probably one of the main sources of our vacuum leak. We got rid of 4 vacuum lines when deleting that, and only had to plug one back in and then plug up one hole. So I don't think there's any other vacuum leaks, but we'll find out when we go to start it back up. But that wastegate was a huge one, so hopefully we don't have that sound anymore. Once we start it back up, obviously we'll know. Like 99% confident that that's fixed now. All right, we're back. It's a new day. I have some new information regarding why this car might be sitting at 2,000 RPMs. So I still think it potentially could be a vacuum leak. And I got an email back from the tuner. It says, it's weird that it is idling at 2,000 RPMs because the idle tables are stuck. He said, are you sure, in all caps, that there's no vacuum leaks on the intake manifold? He said, we do have some throttle angle in the data log, so make sure that nothing is caught in the throttle plate. So that's going to be our first course of action. Before we get this car started up, we're going to pull off this upper intercooler pipe and get that pulled off so that we can check the throttle plate, make sure that nothing is there, rule that out, and then we're going to go over every single vacuum line, tighten everything down, and just ensure that that's not an issue, and then we'll fire it back up here in just a minute. But let's get this upper intercooler pipe off so we can just double check this throttle plate. I think I found an issue. So throttle body opens that way. It doesn't close. Doesn't close all the way. I don't see anything stuck in there. I don't know why it wouldn't close. That's not right. I don't have an Autel or anything, or a snap-on scanner to be able to calibrate the throttle body. So I'm gonna do some searching real quick, see if there's a way to calibrate this throttle body without a big scanner. Alright, so upon further research, this throttle body is good, and it should be cracked open just a little bit. I believe it's 1 to 2% is what I learned. It could just be it needs an idle relearn, because we did flash a new tune on it after completely building the motor, and then I didn't wait. I think maybe I didn't wait long enough until I started driving it and I hit the throttle. I think it's like 5 to 10 minutes or something. I have to relook into that and we'll see. But I think what I'm going to do is just a quick little idle relearn procedure, and then I'm gonna put this all back together. I double checked every vacuum line. We should not have any issues there. So let's go ahead and start this up. Once I get this 45-degree coupler back on for the upper intercooler pipe, and then we'll go ahead and see if we can make some progress on driving this thing. Alright, here's what I didn't show. I did use some throttle body cleaner, and I cleaned around the entire throttle plate, did clean the throttle plate as well, and this is what came out. So hopefully that was enough cleaning instead of having to take off the throttle body and, you know, do a full deep dive into it. Hopefully that was enough to help our situation right now. So I'm gonna get this car off of jack stands and see if we can get this thing fired up. All right, she's down. Everything is fully tightened back up. I did adjust the clamp on the back of that heater core, and then we still have a coolant leak somewhere right down there. Once we get it started and get it warmed up, I'm gonna double check, make sure that's exactly where it's coming from before we have to tear into this, because I think, unfortunately, with where that leak is at, I think we might have to pull the intake manifold off. No fun, but it's gotta be done. So let's get this guy. I wanna get this guy fired up. I wanna check fuel pressure, all my pressures. All right, let's hop in, let's check. Let's make sure it starts, and then let's check the everything. That's better than it was. Still good at oil pressure. Up to 2,000 RPM. I'm confused. Well, so we had another coolant leak. Tell me if you see anything wrong with this picture. Yep, that hose clamp is supposed to be up there on the actual line, not just hanging out. So get that fixed real quick. All right, so we got that clamp back on that water line. Pro tip, put that on before, or else you end up with something like that. That's not fun. So make sure you do that beforehand. I still don't know what that whining sound is, so we need to dig deeper into what's going on in here. Alright, well, I think that's where I'm going to wrap up today's video. Kind of running out of time for the day. I got a few things to knock out before it gets too late. So we got a few things figured out. Still more to do, but we're going to catch up in next video, trying to hunt down the complete source of why this car jumps to 2,000 RPMs. Seems to be a mystery. I don't know why.
But I'm looking through the data log, and I'm going to do some research tonight, and we're going to see if we can't get this figured out and hop back into it in the next video. But with that being said, I appreciate everybody watching. It means the world, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya.